You disgusting fat bitch, you catfished me?" The words detonated across Morton's Steakhouse. Sarah's prosthetic arm hit the white tablecloth with a crack that made silverware jump and conversations die. "There!" She screamed, her face purple with rage and humiliation. "Look at it! Is this what you wanted to see?" Derek stumbled backward, his face twisting. "Jesus Christ, you're insane! Finish that sentence, son, and it'll be the last thing you say tonight." The voice came from behind deep, controlled, deadly calm. A black man in his 50s rose from the corner booth, his Marine Corps posture radiating barely restrained violence. 50 diners held their breath. What happened next would change 3 lives forever. Comment below what city you're watching from. I want to see how far this American story travels. You lied to me. Derek Lambert's voice carried through Morton's Steakhouse like a gunshot, silencing the soft jazz piano and freezing every conversation in the oak-paneled dining room. Sarah Bennett sat across from him, her face already flushing red, her left hand gripping her wine glass so hard the stem might snap. The prosthetic right arm lay in her lap under the table where she'd been unconsciously hiding it since they sat down 20 minutes ago. "I didn't lie about anything," Sarah said, her voice shaking. "My profile clearly. Your profile said, adaptive athlete." Derek slammed his palm on the table. The breadbasket jumped. Nearby diners turned to stare. That could mean anything. A bum knee asthma. Anything. Not this. He jabbed his finger toward her right shoulder, where the prosthetic arm connected beneath her royal blue blouse. The blouse she'd spent 40 minutes choosing, the one that made her feel pretty despite carrying 60 pounds more than Derek's Instagram aesthetic could tolerate. "What exactly is this?" Sarah's voice came out smaller than she wanted. "Don't play dumb. You know exactly what I'm talking about." Derek leaned back, crossing his arms over his CrossFit sculpted chest. At 47, he'd maintained the body of a man 15 years younger through obsessive discipline and probable steroids. Everything about him screamed performance. The designer athleisure wear, the $300 haircut, the Rolex that caught the light with every gesture. "Say it," Sarah whispered. "If you're going to judge me, at least have the courage to say it." "Fine. You're missing an arm. A whole goddamn arm. And you're—" He gestured vaguely at her body. "You're not exactly in shape. My brand is about fitness optimization, peak performance. I can't be seen with someone who's what? Damaged." Derek's voice rose again. "There, I said it. You're damaged goods and you know it. That's why you hid it in your profile. Buried it in paragraph 3 between your favorite Netflix shows and your job at the VA hospital. You knew no man would swipe right if you led with, 'Hi, I'm a fat amputee.'" The words hit Sarah like physical blows. She'd known this was coming from the moment Derek's face had fallen, when she walked into the restaurant 30 minutes earlier. She'd watched his eyes catalog everything wrong with her, the extra weight around her hips and stomach, the way her right sleeve hung slightly different, the asymmetry he couldn't quite place until she'd awkwardly tried to shake his hand and he'd seen the prosthetic fingers extend from her cuff. His smile had frozen. His greeting had been perfunctory, and for 20 minutes he'd been building to this explosion. "I put amputee in my profile," Sarah said, her throat tight, "right there in the bio section." In the 3rd paragraph, after 2 paragraphs of bullshit about loving dogs and Italian food, Derek pulled out his phone, scrolling aggressively. "Look, see Sarah, 43, physical therapist at VA hospital, loves hiking. That's a laugh. Adaptive athlete, enjoys cooking and true crime podcasts. Adaptive athlete. That's PR speak for cripple." "Don't call me that." "Why not? It's accurate." Derek was on a roll now, his voice carrying to every corner of the restaurant. The couple 3 tables over had stopped eating entirely. The elderly man by the window had his hand half raised like he might intervene. "You misrepresented yourself. You used camera angles and careful cropping to hide your disability. That's catfishing. That's fraud." "I showed my personality." Your personality doesn't matter if the packaging is broken. Derek leaned forward, his cologne, something expensive and aggressive, washing over Sarah. I'm a personal trainer with 42,000 Instagram followers. 42,000. When I post about my personal life, I get 15,000 likes minimum. My followers expect a certain aesthetic. They expect me to date women who reflect the fitness lifestyle I promote. You think I can post a picture with you? You think my brand survives me dating a one-armed woman who looks like she hasn't seen a gym in years? Sarah felt tears burning behind her eyes. She willed them not to fall. So this was never about getting to know me. This was about whether I'm Instagram-worthy. Welcome to 2024, sweetheart. Everything is about optics. Derek took a long drink of his scotch, his second since they'd sat down. I came here in good faith. I put on nice clothes, I showed up on time, I was prepared to be open-minded. But you ambushed me. You knew exactly what you were doing. I was hoping you'd see me as a person first. I see a liability. Derek's voice cracked like a whip. I see a woman who's so desperate for male attention that she'll lie and manipulate to get it. You probably figured once I was here, once we'd started talking, I'd be too polite to leave. You were counting on my decency to trap me into a pity date. That's not, isn't it? Derek was standing now, his chair scraping backward. His voice reached new volume, ensuring every single person in the restaurant could hear. You're 43 years old, overweight, disabled, and apparently delusional enough to think you can compete in a market where women half your age and twice as hot are available. This is Chicago, not some small-town bar where beggars can't be choosers. I have options. The restaurant had gone completely silent. Sarah sat frozen, her chest heaving, her face burning with humiliation, so intense it felt like fever. Every eye was on her. Every person was witnessing her complete degradation. I help veterans, she whispered. I help people who've lost limbs rebuild their lives. I thought someone might appreciate that. I turned my trauma into purpose. Oh, here we go. The inspirational porn. Derek laughed harsh and ugly. Let me guess. Car accident, IED. Some tragic backstory you're about to weaponize to make me the bad guy for having standards. Drunk driver, Sarah heard herself say. He T-boned my car. Crushed my right arm so badly they had to amputate at the elbow. I was in surgery for 9 hours. I nearly died. And I'm sorry that happened to you. Truly. Derek didn't sound sorry at all. But your tragedy doesn't obligate me to date you. Your suffering doesn't make you attractive. And the fact that you've tried to guilt-trip me for the last 20 minutes with sad eyes and trembling lips tells me exactly what kind of manipulative person you are. Something inside Sarah snapped. Not broke-snapped. Like a cable pulled too tight, finally giving way. She reached down with her left hand, found the release button on her prosthetic socket, hidden beneath her blouse sleeve, and pressed. The pneumatic seal released with a soft hiss. She gripped the prosthetic forearm and pulled. The entire apparatus came free. Socket liner, the $47,000 myoelectric hand with its articulated fingers frozen in a neutral position. Flesh-colored silicone designed to look natural under clothing. State-of-the-art technology that had taken her 18 months of physical therapy to master. She lifted it, and she slammed it onto the table. The impact was catastrophic. Wine glasses jumped and splashed. Silverware clattered. The bread basket tipped over. Sarah's untouched salad sprayed vinaigrette across the white tablecloth. The prosthetic arm lay between them like an accusation, fingers still partially curled, the mechanical joints visible where the silicone had torn slightly from the impact. There. Sarah screamed, rising to her feet. Her voice was raw, primal years of accumulated hurt, detonating all at once. Is this what you wanted, the freak show? Take a good look. Derek, take your pictures for Instagram. Show your 42,000 followers what happened when you went on a date with a fat cripple. Derek stumbled backward, his face cycling through shock, disgust, fear. Jesus Christ. No, don't, Jesus Christ me. Sarah was shaking now, her residual limb visible where her sleeve had pulled up the scarred, rounded flesh that ended mid-forearm, the medical marvel that had saved her life but destroyed her dating prospects. You wanted honesty. You wanted full disclosure. Here it is. I'm fat. I'm disabled. I'm 43 years old and I've been single for 3 years because men like you can't see past the surface. But at least I'm honest. At least I don't measure human worth in follower counts and gym selfies. You're insane. Derek's voice had gone high, panicked. He was backing toward the exit now, fumbling for his wallet. You're a fucking psycho. I'm tired. Sarah's voice cracked, tears finally breaking free, streaming down her face. I'm tired of pretending. I'm tired of camera angles and careful lighting and typing adaptive athlete instead of amputee. Because men like you can't handle reality. I'm tired of making myself smaller and quieter and less than I am, so men won't be uncomfortable with my existence. This is you need help, lady, seriously. Derek threw two $20 bills on the table, not enough to cover his drinks, let alone both meals. I came here in good faith, and this is assault. You assaulted me with that thing. It's called a prosthetic arm, you ignorant. I don't care what it's called. You're crazy, you're damaged and you're crazy, and I'm leaving before you do something else psychotic. Derek was at the exit now, other diners clearing a path. Don't call me, don't contact me, and don't think I won't warn other guys about you. There are forums for this. Ways to blacklist women like you who waste men's time. Waste your time. Sarah's laugh came out broken, hysterical. You've wasted 3 years of my life. Every date like this, every man who looks at me with disgust, every fake smile I force when someone calls me inspiring instead of attractive. You are the time waster. You are the fraud. You sell fitness and optimization, but you're just a shallow, cruel, pathetic excuse for a man who measures women like livestock. Derek's face twisted with rage. He took a step back toward her, his fist clenching. That's when the voice cut through the chaos. Finish that sentence, son, and it'll be the last thing you say tonight. Every head in the restaurant turned. Marcus Washington stood beside the corner booth where he'd been having dinner with his daughter. 6'3" of controlled power, 52 years old, but carrying himself like a man who could still run a 6-minute mile and bench press 300 pounds. Salt and pepper hair buzzed military short. Brown skin. Brown eyes currently locked on Derek with an expression that managed to convey both absolute calm and barely restrained violence. He wore dark jeans and a charcoal button-down shirt sleeves rolled to reveal forearms corded with muscle. No jewelry except a simple watch. No flash, no performance. Just solid, undeniable presence. Behind him, an 8-year-old black girl with cornrowed hair and wide eyes clutched a purple stuffed elephant watching the drama unfold. Derek froze mid-step. This is a private conversation. Not anymore. Marcus's voice never rose above conversational volume, but it filled the space anyway. You made it public when you started screaming at this woman loud enough for everyone in here to hear you call her crazy, damaged, and a waste of time. Who the hell are you? Derek tried to sound tough, but his voice had gone uncertain. Someone who's going to give you a choice. Marcus moved away from his booth, closing the distance with measured steps. You're going to apologize to this woman. Then you're going to leave enough money to cover both meals and a generous tip. Then you're going to walk out that door and never speak to her or about her again. Or what? Derek's bravado was crumbling, but he made one last attempt to save face. You gonna hit me in front of all these witnesses, in front of your daughter? Marcus stopped about 6 feet away, close enough to be threatening, far enough to avoid escalation. I'm not going to hit you. I'm going to stand here and explain very clearly and very specifically what I think about men who verbally abuse women in public restaurants. And trust me, 23 years in the Marine Corps taught me extremely creative vocabulary. By the time I'm done, every person in here will know exactly what kind of man you are. I know what kind of man I am. I'm honest. I don't owe her. Her name is Sarah. Derek blinked. Her name is Sarah Bennett. Marcus continued. his voice dropping even lower. You spent 30 minutes with her, and I guarantee you never used her name once. Just called her you and her, like she's not even a person, like she's an object that disappointed you. I don't have to. You're right. You don't. Marcus crossed his arms. You can leave right now. Keep your money, keep your dignity, walk away. But understand this, my daughter is watching. She's 8 years old, and she's learning what kind of men exist in this world. She just watched you berate a woman for being disabled and overweight. She watched you call that woman crazy for defending herself. And now she's watching to see what happens next. Marcus glanced back at his daughter, then returned his gaze to Derek. I need her to see that when men like you operate, men like me don't stay silent. Because in 10 years, she'll be dating, and I'll be damned if she grows up thinking your behavior is normal or acceptable or something she should tolerate. This is insane, Derek muttered, but he was deflating now, looking around for support and finding none. Every single diner was staring at him with expressions ranging from disgust to hostility. What's insane is spending 30 minutes tearing down another human being because they don't meet your Instagram aesthetic, Marcus said. What's insane is calling a woman damaged goods and thinking you're the victim when she reacts. What's insane is being so obsessed with your brand that you forgot how to be a decent person. Sarah stood frozen by her table, mascara streaking her cheeks. Her residual limb still exposed, her prosthetic arm lying on the destroyed tablecloth like evidence. She'd expected Derek to leave. She'd expected the restaurant to throw her out. She'd expected humiliation and shame and the long drive home to her empty apartment where she'd delete all her dating profiles and swear off men forever. She hadn't expected this. Hadn't expected a stranger to stand up. To use his size and presence not as a threat, but as a shield. Derek pulled out his wallet with shaking hands. He threw 3 more 20s on the table, still not enough, but closer. You're both crazy, he muttered. Perfect for each other. Freaks and white knights. Good luck with that. He turned to leave. Hey, Derek, Marcus called after him. Derek stopped. She's worth 100 of you on your best day. I hope one day you figure that out. Derek left without responding. The door swung shut behind him with a soft, pneumatic hiss that sounded eerily like Sarah's prosthetic releasing. The restaurant stayed silent for 3 long heartbeats. Then the elderly man by the window started clapping. Slowly at first, then joined by his wife. Then the couple 3 tables over. Then the business group in the corner. Within seconds, the entire restaurant erupted in applause. Sarah stood there completely overwhelmed, tears flowing freely now. Her left hand came up to cover her face. Marcus walked over to her table, his posture relaxing slightly. Up close, Sarah could see details, the laugh lines around his eyes, the small scar above his left eyebrow, the calloused hands of someone who worked with them, the wedding ring he no longer wore, but whose tan line was still visible. "Ma'am," he said gently, "are you all right?" Sarah tried to answer, but what came out was somewhere between a laugh and a sob. Marcus picked up her prosthetic arm, carefully examining it with what looked like professional interest. Osure I limb quantum. Myoelectric with proportional control. Nice work. This is top of the line. Sarah stared at him through tears. How do you... I work with prosthetics. Adjacent to them anyway. Structural engineer, but I volunteer at the VA sometimes. Design modifications for adaptive equipment. He set the arm down gently on a clean section of the table. You want to put this back on, or do you need a minute? I need... Sarah's voice broke. I need to understand why you did that. You don't know me. Don't have to know you to recognize when someone needs backup. Marcus pulled out the chair Derek had vacated, turning it around and sitting down backward, his arms resting on the back. Can I sit? Or would you prefer I go back to my table? Please sit. Sarah sank into her own chair, her legs suddenly weak. Please don't leave yet. Marcus's daughter appeared at his elbow, still clutching her stuffed elephant. Dad, is the mean man gone? He's gone, baby. Good. He was loud and scary. The little girl looked at Sarah with open curiosity. Hi, I'm Maya. What happened to your arm? Maya, Marcus said. What did we talk about in the car? Asking permission before asking personal questions. Maya's face scrunched up in concentration. Can I ask about your arm? Despite everything, Sarah smiled. You just did. So can I? Yes. What happened to it? Car accident. Sarah said, her voice still shaky. A drunk driver hit me 3 years ago. The doctors couldn't save my arm. That's sad. Maya moved closer, peering at the prosthetic lying on the table. But that robot one is cool. Can it do stuff? Maya, Marcus started. It's okay, Sarah said. She picked up the prosthetic with her left hand, examining it for damage. The silicone skin had torn slightly from the impact, but the mechanics looked intact. Yes, it can do stuff. Want to see? For the next 15 minutes, while other diners returned to their meals and the restaurant slowly recovered its normal atmosphere, Sarah demonstrated her prosthetic to an 8-year-old who thought it was the most fascinating thing in the world. She reattached it, clicking the socket into place on her residual limb, feeling the familiar weight settle. Then she sent the electrical signals through her remaining muscles, watching Maya's eyes go wide as the mechanical fingers slowly flexed and extended. Oh my gosh! It's like Iron Man but real. Sort of. It's called a myoelectric prosthetic. It reads electrical signals from my muscles and translates them into movement. Can it punch things? Maya. Marcus looked mortified. What I'm just asking, if I had a robot arm, I'd want to know if it could punch things. Sarah laughed. Really laughed for the first time all evening. It can, but I try not to. The repair bills are expensive. Can you feel with it? No. No sensation. That's the hardest part, actually. I have to look at things to know if I'm holding them right. Does your real arm hurt? Where it used to be? Maya, Marcus warned. It's okay, Sarah said. Sometimes yes. I get phantom pain. My brain still thinks my arm is there, so it sends pain signals even though there's nothing to hurt. That's weird. Very weird. But I'm used to it now. Maya reached out and gently touched the prosthetic hand, feeling the cool silicone. It's pretty, but not as pretty as you. The mean man was wrong. You're really pretty. Sarah's eyes filled with tears again. Thank you, sweetheart. The waiter approached cautiously. Ma'am, I just want to say that guy was completely out of line. Your meal is on the house tonight. And yours too, Mr. Washington. That's not necessary, Sarah started. Manager insists. We don't tolerate that kind of behavior in our establishment. After the waiter left, Marcus looked at Sarah seriously. Can I ask you something? And you can tell me it's none of my business. After what you just did, you can ask me anything. Why online dating? Sarah was quiet for a long moment, looking down at her prosthetic hand resting on the table. The question wasn't judgmental. Marcus's tone was genuinely curious. Because I'm 43 overweight and missing an arm, she said finally. I'm not exactly getting approached at coffee shops or book clubs. Online dating lets me screen for basic compatibility before I invest time, before someone sees me and decides I'm not worth the effort. Except they see your photos and expect something different. Except that, Sarah agreed. I know it's deceptive, but every time I've led with, "Hi, I'm Sarah and I'm an amputee," the responses are either fetishists or pity. I just wanted someone to see me as a person first. Marcus nodded slowly. That makes sense. For what it's worth, you're not overweight. You're built like a woman who's lived a real life. You don't have to. I'm not being polite. I'm stating a fact. Marcus's voice was firm. My wife was a size 16 when we met. The only time she got smaller was when the cancer ate her alive. I'll take healthy over magazine cover any day. Sarah looked at him carefully. Your wife? Passed away 18 months ago, ovarian cancer. He said it matter-of-factly, but Sarah saw the pain flash across his face. She was a pediatric oncology nurse, toughest person I ever met. I'm so sorry. Thank you. Marcus glanced back at Maya, who'd wandered over to look at the dessert case. She would have liked you, I think. She didn't tolerate bullies either. Would have probably dumped her drink on that guy's head before I could say anything. Despite everything, Sarah smiled. She sounds wonderful. She was. Strong, fierce kind. She made the hard stuff look easy. Marcus turned back to Sarah. Can I tell you what she would have done if she'd been here tonight? What? After dumping her drink on him, she would have taken you out for dessert and spent 3 hours reminding you of your worth. She collected wounded people not to fix them, but to show them they weren't as broken as they thought. I'm definitely broken, Sarah whispered. No. You're scarred. There's a difference. Marcus leaned forward slightly. Broken things don't work. Scarred things have survived and kept working. You help veterans rebuild their lives. You turned your trauma into purpose. That's not broken. That's warrior-level strength. Sarah looked at this stranger who'd defended her, who was now treating her like a person instead of a problem. Why did you really stand up? You could have just let him leave. Marcus was quiet for a moment, considering. You want the honest answer? Please. Because I have a daughter who just watched a man verbally abuse a woman for 30 minutes. She watched that man call you crazy for defending yourself. She watched other people look away and do nothing. Marcus's jaw tightened. I can tell Maya all day long to stand up for people who can't stand up for themselves. But if she sees me stay silent when it matters, my words mean nothing. I had to show her that when you see wrong, you act. Even for strangers. Especially for strangers. That's what separates good men from cowards. Cowards protect their own. Good men protect whoever needs it. Sarah felt something crack open in her chest, not breaking, but opening. Like a door that had been locked too long suddenly getting air. Thank you, she whispered. Not just for standing up, but for seeing me. For treating me like I matter. You do matter. Marcus said it like a fact, not an opinion. And anyone who doesn't see that is failing you, not the other way around. They sat there for a long moment, surrounded by the sounds of the restaurant, returning to normal clinking silverware. Soft conversations, the jazz piano resuming. Then, Marcus pulled a business card from his wallet. We come here every Tuesday, have for the past year since my wife died. It's our tradition, our way of keeping her memory alive. He handed Sarah the card. If you ever want company for dinner, no pressure, will be here. Sarah took the card, her prosthetic fingers gripping it carefully. Why Tuesdays? Keisha, my wife, she loved Tuesdays. Said they were the most honest day of the week. No Monday optimism, no Friday expectation. Just Tuesday being Tuesday. A sad smile crossed his face. We had our first date on a Tuesday. Found out we were pregnant on a Tuesday. She died on a Tuesday. And you honor her by keeping the tradition. We honor her by living. But yes, Tuesday dinners help. Marcus stood up, offering his hand to help Sarah to her feet. Think about it. No expectations. Just 3 people sharing a meal. Sarah stood, accepting his hand, his warm, strong, living hand. I will, I promise. Maya returned, tugging on Marcus's sleeve. Can we get dessert now? Yes, baby. What do you want? Chocolate cake, and can Sarah have some too? She looks like she needs chocolate. Sarah looked down at this little girl with her father's eyes and her mother's fierce spirit. You know what, I think you're absolutely right. They shared chocolate cake, rich, dark, decadent. Maya talked non-stop about her school, her best friend Zara, the art project she was working on. Marcus interjected occasionally with parental corrections, but mostly he just listened, a small smile playing at his lips. Sarah watched them and felt something she hadn't felt in 3 years. Hope. Not hope for romance that felt too big, too impossible. But hope that maybe the world contained more people like Marcus and Maya than it did people like Derek. Hope that maybe she wasn't as alone as she felt. Hope that maybe, just maybe, she deserved to take up space in the world without apologizing for it. When they finally left the restaurant, Marcus walked Sarah to her car. Maya had run ahead chasing a moth under the parking lot lights. "Thank you again," Sarah said. "For everything. Thank you for letting Maya interrogate you. She's going to tell everyone at school tomorrow about the cool robot arm." "I don't mind. Kids' questions are honest. Adults' questions usually aren't." Marcus pulled out another business card, his own this time. Washington and Associates, Structural Engineering. If you ever need anything, or if you just want to talk to someone who gets it. Gets what? What it's like to rebuild after losing a piece of yourself. He said it quietly, his eyes distant. Different losses, same process. One day at a time, one Tuesday at a time. Sarah took the card, adding it to the first one. "I'll see you next Tuesday." "Yeah." Marcus looked genuinely pleased. "Yeah, if the offer still stands." "Always." Sarah drove home to her apartment in Lincoln Park, the two business cards on her passenger seat. She didn't cry, didn't break down, just drove her prosthetic hand resting on the steering wheel, her real hand gripping tight. When she got home, she looked at herself in the bathroom mirror. Same woman who'd left 3 hours ago. Same extra weight, same missing arm, same scars, but different somehow. Derek's words still echoed damaged goods. Catfish, waste of time. But under them, quieter but stronger, were Marcus's words. "You're worth 100 of him. You're not broken. You matter." Sarah picked up her phone and opened her dating apps. Tinder, Bumble, Hinge. Her finger hovered over the delete button. Then she set the phone down. Not yet. She'd decide about the apps later. Right now, she had a Tuesday to look forward to. And that was enough. Sarah didn't go to work the next day. She called in sick for the first time in 18 months, her voice hoarse when she told her supervisor she had a migraine. It wasn't entirely a lie. Her head throbbed from crying herself to sleep, then waking at 3 a.m. to cry some more. But it wasn't the migraine keeping her home. It was shame. Derek's words had burrowed into her brain like parasites, feeding on every insecurity she'd spent 3 years trying to overcome. Damaged goods, catfish, waste of time. The words played on loop, each repetition carving deeper grooves. She'd stood in front of her bathroom mirror that morning, staring at her reflection with Derek's eyes. The extra weight around her hips and stomach that no amount of physical therapy workout seemed to touch. The way her right shoulder ended in that rounded stump of scar tissue. The asymmetry that made every outfit a negotiation. Her phone buzzed on the counter. A text from her brother James. "Heard you called in sick. You okay?" Sarah ignored it. Another buzz. Her best friend Monica from the hospital. "Girl, you never call in sick. What's wrong?" Sarah turned her phone face down. She spent the day on her couch in pajamas, eating ice cream directly from the container, with her left hand, her prosthetic arm, lying on the coffee table, like an accusation. She'd removed it the moment she got home from the restaurant and hadn't put it back on. The exposed residual limb felt both liberating and horrifying, free from the constant pressure of the socket, but vulnerable. Naked. Wrong. Around 2 p.m. someone knocked on her door. Sarah ignored it. The knocking continued, then stopped. Her phone buzzed again. "James. I'm outside your door. I brought Chinese food. Let me in or I'm calling Mom." Sarah groaned. The mom threat was serious. Her mother would drive 3 hours from Springfield and stage a full intervention. She shuffled to the door and opened it. James stood there with 2 bags of takeout, his face cycling from relief to concern when he saw her. "Jesus, Sarah. You look like hell." "Thanks. Really helpful." "I mean it." He pushed past her into the apartment, setting the food on her kitchen counter. "Monica called me. Said you sounded weird when you called in. What happened?" "Nothing." "Bull. You don't take sick days for nothing. James started unpacking containers, lo mein orange chicken egg rolls, comfort food. Talk. So Sarah told him. About Derek. About the restaurant. About ripping off her prosthetic and slamming it on the table. About the humiliation, the stares, the applause that had felt more like pity than support. She left out Marcus. She wasn't ready to examine that part yet. James listened without interrupting, his jaw getting tighter with each detail. When she finished, he was quiet for a long moment. Where does this Derek guy live? James? I'm serious. Give me an address. I just want to talk to him. You're not going to talk to him. You're right. I'm going to break his kneecaps. James wasn't smiling. He called you damaged goods to your face in public. He called me a lot of things. And you just sat there and took it. I threw my prosthetic arm at the table. What else was I supposed to do? Hit him with it. James's voice rose. Sarah, you're my sister. You're one of the toughest people I know. You survived a crash that should have killed you. You relearned how to do everything with one hand. You turned your trauma into a career helping other people. And you're letting some steroid-pumped Instagram douchebag make you feel like you're not enough. He's right, though. Sarah's voice came out small. I did catfish him. I did hide my disability in my profile. I did use camera angles to... Stop. James grabbed her shoulders, forcing her to look at him. Listen to me very carefully. You are not responsible for managing the fragility of men who can't handle reality. You put amputee in your profile. You were honest. If he couldn't read past the first paragraph, that's his failure, not yours. But, no buts. You know what your problem is. You've spent 3 years apologizing for taking up space, apologizing for your body, your arm, your existence. You make yourself smaller so men won't be uncomfortable. And it's garbage, Sarah. It's complete garbage. Sarah felt tears burning again. I just wanted someone to like me. Someone will. Someone who deserves you. But you're never going to find them if you keep settling for men who see you as a disappointment. James pulled her into a hug. Delete the apps. All of them. What? Delete them. Today. Right now. He pulled back, his face serious. They're poison. They're turning you into someone who measures her worth in swipe rights and first date rejections. You're better than that. I can't just give up. I'm not asking you to give up. I'm asking you to stop looking for validation from strangers who don't matter. James picked up her phone from the couch. Here, I'll do it for you. James, don't. But he was already swiping through her apps. Tinder deleted. Bumble deleted. Hinge deleted. Match deleted. There. Done. Sarah stared at her phone, feeling both relieved and panicked. Those apps were my only way to meet people. No, they were your only way to meet people who judge you based on photos and bios. There's a difference. James handed back her phone. You work at the VA. You're surrounded by people who understand loss and resilience. You volunteer at the adaptive sports clinic. You have friends, coworkers, a whole community. That's where real connections happen, not on apps designed to make you feel inadequate. Sarah knew he was right. She also knew it was terrifying. The apps had been a buffer, a way to control the narrative, to prepare for rejection in the safety of her apartment instead of face-to-face. Without them, she'd have to be vulnerable in real life. Visible. Open to judgment, she couldn't swipe away. I don't know if I can do that, she whispered. You can. You just don't want to. James squeezed her hand. Look, I get it. Putting yourself out there is scary, but hiding isn't living. And you deserve to live, Sarah, not just survive live. They ate Chinese food and watched bad reality TV until James had to leave for his shift at the fire station. Before he left, he hugged her hard. Promise me you'll go back to work tomorrow. I promise. And promise me you'll stop letting assholes like Derek define your worth. I'll try. Not good enough. Promise me. Sarah managed a small smile. I promise. After James left, Sarah sat alone in her apartment staring at her phone. The empty spaces where her dating apps used to be felt like missing teeth, noticeable, uncomfortable, wrong. She picked up her prosthetic arm from the coffee table, examining it in the lamplight. The torn silicone skin from where it had hit the table, the scratches on the mechanical joints. 3 years she'd worn this arm. 3 years of pretending it made her whole. But it didn't make her whole. It made her functional. There was a difference. Sarah set the arm down and went to bed early, her residual limb tucked against her chest, her left arm wrapped around a pillow. She didn't think about Marcus Washington. Except she did. His voice kept echoing in her head, calm and certain. "You're worth 100 of him on your best day." She wondered if he'd meant it. She wondered if it mattered. Tuesday came faster than Sarah expected. She'd gone back to work, thrown herself into patient care with almost manic intensity. A young Marine named Patterson, who'd lost both legs, was learning to walk with new prosthetics. Sarah had stayed 2 hours past her shift, helping him, ignoring the burning in her own residual limb from wearing her prosthetic for 12 hours straight. Monica had cornered her in the break room around 3 p.m. "Okay, Spill. What happened this weekend?" "What do you mean? You've been weird all week. Quiet. You're never quiet." Monica crossed her arms. "And you're wearing your prosthetic wrong. The socket's rotated like 15 degrees. You've been compensating with your shoulder and now you're going to hurt yourself." Sarah looked down. Monica was right. She'd attached the prosthetic in a hurry that morning and hadn't adjusted it properly. "Bad date," Sarah said finally. "How bad?" "Guy told me I catfished him. Said I was damaged goods. It got ugly." Monica's face went through several expressions before landing on rage. "Please tell me you have his address." "Why does everyone want his address?" "Because I want to key his car and possibly set it on fire." Monica wasn't joking. "What did you do?" "I threw my prosthetic arm on the table and screamed at him." Monica's anger transformed into a grin. "That's my girl. What did he do?" "Left, but not before making sure everyone in the restaurant knew I was crazy. Everyone in the restaurant probably thought he was an asshole. Actually," Sarah paused, "someone stood up for me. A guy at another table. He made Derek apologize and leave money for the meal. A guy..." Monica leaned forward, interested. "What kind of guy?" "Older. Maybe early 50s. Black. He was there with his daughter. Single. Widowed. Even better. Widowers appreciate what they have." Monica's eyes narrowed. "Did you get his number?" "He gave me his business card. Said he and his daughter eat at that restaurant every Tuesday, invited me to join them." And what in are you going?" Monica said it like it was obvious. "I don't know. It feels weird. Like pity." Sarah Elizabeth Bennett. "I have known you for 3 years. I have watched you help veterans who've lost limbs, faces entire futures rebuild their lives. You give pep talks about resilience and adaptation every single day. And you're going to tell me you can't handle having dinner with a nice man and his daughter? That's different." "It's not different. You're scared. Which I get that Derek asshole did a number on you. But you can't let one bad man ruin your faith in all men." Monica stood up. "You're going to that restaurant tonight. You're going to have dinner with that man and his daughter. And you're going to let yourself believe, even for 2 hours, that you deserve kindness from strangers." "Monica, no arguments. What time did he say they'd be there?" "He didn't. Just said Tuesdays." "Then you're going at 6:30. That's normal dinner time. You're going to wear something nice. Not armor. Not all black. Something with color. You're going to fix your prosthetic socket. And you're going to show up." Sarah felt panic rising in her chest. What if he was just being polite? What if he doesn't actually want me there? "Then you have dinner alone and go home." But my guess he meant it. Men who stand up to bullies in restaurants don't do it for show. They do it because they actually give a damn. Monica pulled Sarah to her feet. "Now go home, shower, and get ready. Text me when you get there so I know you didn't chicken out." Sarah wanted to argue, But Monica was right. She'd spent 3 years hiding. 3 years making herself smaller. 3 years letting fear make her decisions. Maybe it was time to try something different. She went home at 5, showered, and stood in front of her closet for 20 minutes. Everything looked wrong. Too formal. Too casual. Too revealing. Too frumpy. Finally, she settled on dark jeans and a green sweater that brought out her eyes. Simple. Not trying too hard. She fixed her prosthetic socket, adjusting it properly for the first time all week. The familiar weight settled correctly, the pressure distributed evenly. Then she stared at herself in the mirror. "You can do this," she told her reflection. "It's just dinner. Just 2 hours. If it's awful, you never have to go back." Her reflection didn't look convinced. Sarah grabbed her purse and Marcus's business card and left before she could change her mind. Morton's Steakhouse looked different on a Tuesday evening. Less crowded than Saturday. More regulars, fewer first dates. Sarah stood in the parking lot for 5 full minutes, her heart pounding before she finally walked inside. The hostess smiled. "Welcome to Morton's. Table for 1. Actually, Sarah stopped. "I'm meeting someone. Marcus Washington. He might already be here." The hostess's face lit up with recognition. "Oh, you're here for Mr. Washington. Yes, he and Maya are at their usual table. Follow me." Sarah's stomach dropped. Their usual table. The hostess knew them by name. This was clearly their space, their tradition. She was intruding. But the hostess was already walking and Sarah couldn't exactly turn around now. The corner booth came into view. Marcus sat there reading something on his phone, while Maya colored in a book beside him. They looked comfortable, settled. A father and daughter doing what they did every week. Sarah almost turned around. Then Maya looked up and saw her. "Dad. Dad. It's the robot arm lady." Maya's voice carried across the restaurant. Marcus's head snapped up. His expression cycled through surprise, then something else, pleasure, maybe relief. He stood up immediately, that marine posture kicking in. "Sarah, you came." Sarah's voice caught. "I wasn't sure if you really meant—" "I meant it." Marcus gestured to the booth. "Please, sit." Maya was already scooting over, making room. "Are you eating with us?" "Please say yes. I want to ask you more questions about your arm." Sarah slid into the booth, her hands shaking slightly. "If you're sure I'm not interrupting." "You're not interrupting. We're glad you're here." Marcus said it simply, like it was fact. "Right, Maya. Right. This is way better than just us. No offense, Dad." "None taken, baby." Marcus smiled at Sarah. "Can I get you a drink? They make a great old-fashioned here." "Just water for now. I'm still—" Sarah gestured vaguely. "Processing the week. Bad week. I called in sick Monday. First time in 18 months. My supervisor thinks I'm dying." "Monday was rough," Marcus said quietly. "After Saturday." "You mean after I had a public meltdown and assaulted the table with my prosthetic arm? You mean after you stood up for yourself against a man who deserved worse?" Marcus's voice was firm. "Don't rewrite what happened. He was cruel. You reacted. That's not a meltdown, that's being human." Sarah felt something loosen in her chest. "My brother said the same thing, right before he deleted all my dating apps. Smart brother. Controlling brother. Smart and controlling aren't mutually exclusive." Marcus flagged down their waiter. "Tom, can we get some water and menus?" Tom. The same waiter from Saturday grinned when he saw Sarah. "Welcome back. I'm glad you came. That guy last week was a real piece of work." "That's one way to put it," Sarah muttered. After Tom left, Maya pushed her coloring book aside. "Can I see your arm work again? Dad said I couldn't ask right away, but I've been waiting like 5 whole minutes." "Maya, that's not 5 minutes. It's okay." Sarah held up her prosthetic hand, flexing the fingers slowly. The myoelectric sensors responded smoothly, each finger articulating independently. See, I can control each finger separately if I concentrate hard enough. That's so cool. Can you pick stuff up? Sarah picked up a sugar packet, the prosthetic fingers gripping gently. Light stuff, yes. Heavy stuff is harder because I can't feel how hard I'm squeezing. I've crushed a lot of eggs learning that lesson. Maya giggled. Dad crushes eggs too, and he has both hands. Once. Marcus protested. I crushed eggs once when I was distracted. 3 times. Maya. Fine, twice. They ordered dinner steak for Marcus, chicken tenders for Maya, salmon for Sarah. The conversation flowed easier than Sarah expected. Maya talked about her school art project. Marcus asked about Sarah's work at the VA. Sarah found herself laughing at Maya's story about her teacher's wig falling off during recess. It felt normal, not forced or awkward or weighted with expectation. Just 3 people sharing a meal. Halfway through dinner, Maya excused herself to use the bathroom. The moment she was out of earshot, Marcus's demeanor shifted slightly. Can I ask you something personal? Sarah tensed. Okay. How are you really doing after Saturday? Honestly, I've been better. Derek's words kind of stuck. They do that. Cruel words dig deeper than kind ones. Marcus set down his fork. My wife used to say that kindness whispers, but cruelty shouts. We remember the shouts longer, even though the whispers are what actually matter. Your wife sounds like she was very wise. She was. Keisha had this way of cutting through bullshit and finding the truth underneath. I miss that. I miss having someone who could look at me and know when I was lying to myself. Sarah studied him. Are you lying to yourself about something? Marcus was quiet for a long moment. I tell myself I'm doing fine, that Maya and I have adjusted, that I've processed Keisha's death and moved forward, but then I have weeks where I can barely get out of bed, where I stand in her closet smelling her clothes, where I look at Maya and see Keisha's expressions, and I can't breathe. The honesty of it hit Sarah like a wave. I'm sorry. Don't be. I'm telling you because I want you to know you're not alone in having hard weeks, in having words that stick, in feeling like you're not enough. Marcus met her eyes. Derek was wrong about you, but I'd bet money he found every insecurity you already had and weaponized it. That's what people like him do. Sarah nodded slowly. He called me a catfish, said I buried my disability in my profile to trick men. And he's not entirely wrong. I did use careful camera angles. I did write adaptive athlete instead of leading with I'm missing an arm. Because every time I led with the disability, men either fetishized it or pitied me. I just wanted someone to see me as a person first. That's not catfishing. That's survival. It feels dishonest. It's strategic. There's a difference. Marcus leaned forward. You know what's actually dishonest? Derek's profile probably has photos from 5 years ago. His bio probably says he's 6 feet tall when he's really 5'10". He probably lists hobbies he hasn't done in years. But he calls you a catfish because you didn't lead with your trauma. That's projection. I never thought about it that way. Most people don't. They accept criticism from people who have no right to criticize. Marcus took a drink of water. Can I tell you something Keisha used to say? Please. She said the people who matter don't mind, and the people who mind don't matter. If someone can't handle your reality, they're not your people. Let them go. Easier said than done. Everything worth doing is. Marcus smiled slightly. But you did it Saturday. You let Derek go, loudly and with dramatic flair, but you let him go. Sarah laughed despite herself. I did throw my arm pretty dramatically. It was impressive. Maya talked about it for 2 days straight. Asked me if she could throw her shoes at mean people. What did you tell her? That sometimes making a scene is necessary. That standing up for yourself isn't always pretty. But that she should probably keep her shoes on in most situations. Maya returned, then sliding back into the booth. What are you talking about? Nothing, baby. You're talking about me, aren't you? I can tell. We're talking about throwing shoes at mean people, Sarah said. Maya's eyes lit up. Can I? No, Marcus and Sarah said simultaneously. They finished dinner over chocolate cake. Maya insisted Sarah try it, said it was the best in Chicago. Tom brought it out with 3 forks and a knowing smile. On the house, for our favorite Tuesday regulars and their new friend. After they finished, Marcus walked Sarah to her car again. Maya had run ahead chasing lightning bugs in the parking lot's landscaping. Thank you for coming, Marcus said. I wasn't sure you would. I almost didn't. I sat in my car for 5 minutes trying to decide. What changed your mind? Sarah thought about it. My friend Monica. She told me I needed to let myself believe I deserved kindness from strangers. That sounded terrifying, but also necessary. Your friend Monica is smart. She is. Sarah unlocked her car, then turned back to Marcus. Can I ask you something? Anything. Why did you really invite me to Tuesday dinners? We're strangers. You don't owe me anything. Marcus was quiet for a long moment, his eyes on Maya, catching fireflies. Because the Tuesday after Keisha died, Maya and I sat in this restaurant, and neither of us could eat. We just sat there crying in the booth. And Tom, our waiter, he sat down with us. This stranger just sat down and held my daughter while she sobbed. Didn't try to fix it, didn't offer platitudes. Just showed up and stayed. He looked back at Sarah. That's what good people do. They show up and stay. I'm just trying to pass that forward. Sarah felt tears burning. I don't know what to say. Say you'll come back next Tuesday. I will, if you're sure. I'm sure. Sarah drove home feeling lighter than she had in days. She texted Monica as soon as she parked. I went. It was good, really good. Monica's response came immediately. Details, now. Sarah smiled, typed out a brief summary, then added, I'm going back next Tuesday. That's my girl. That night, Sarah slept through for the first time since Saturday. No nightmares about Derek. No anxiety spirals about dating. Just deep, dreamless sleep. When she woke up Wednesday morning, she looked at her phone and saw a text from an unknown number. Hi Sarah, this is Marcus. Maya wanted me to ask if you know any good books about engineering. She's decided she wants to build a robot arm for her science project. Thanks for dinner last night. See you next Tuesday. Sarah stared at the message for a long moment. Then she smiled and started typing book recommendations. Maybe, just maybe, she was going to be okay. The book recommendations turned into daily texts. Nothing romantic, just Marcus sending photos of Maya's robot arm prototype, made from cardboard and duct tape, Sarah replying with suggestions for improvement. Maya asking questions about prosthetic mechanics. Marcus sharing stories about his day at the engineering firm. By the following Tuesday, Sarah realized she'd been smiling at her phone more than she had in 3 years. Monica noticed immediately. You're texting him, aren't you? Sarah looked up from her phone in the hospital break room. Who? The Tuesday dinner guy, Marcus. Monica grinned. You've got that look. What look, Dum? The maybe I'm not dead inside look. It's a good look on you. Sarah set her phone down. We're just friends. He's helping his daughter with a school project, and I have relevant expertise. Uh-huh. And how many times have you checked your phone in the last hour? Sarah didn't answer. That's what I thought. Monica sat down across from her. Look, I'm not saying you have to marry the guy. I'm saying it's okay to enjoy male attention that isn't preceded by a swipe right and doesn't end with someone calling you damaged goods. He's a widower with an 8-year-old daughter. He's not interested in me romantically. Did he say that? He didn't have to. Men like him don't date women like me. Monica's expression hardened. Women like you? You mean intelligent, compassionate, resilient women who dedicate their lives to helping others? Yeah, you're right. What man would want that? You know what I mean. I do. And I hate that Derek's voice is still in your head. Monica leaned forward. Sarah, you're going to dinner with this man tonight, right? Yes, but... No buts. You're going to dinner. You're going to let yourself enjoy it. And you're going to stop preemptively rejecting yourself on behalf of men who haven't rejected you. Deal. Sarah nodded reluctantly. Deal. But as she drove to Morton's that evening, Derek's words echoed louder than Monica's pep talk. Damaged goods, catfish, liability. She'd worn a loose black sweater that hid her prosthetic arm, completely applied minimal makeup, told herself this was just a friendly meal with no expectations. Her hands were shaking when she walked into the restaurant. Marcus and Maya were already there, Maya waving enthusiastically the moment she spotted Sarah. 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 Look what I made. Maya held up a cardboard contraption, covered in aluminum foil and pipe cleaners. It's a robot hand. It doesn't work yet, but Dad says we're going to add motors. Sarah slid into the booth examining Maya's creation. This is incredible. You even added individual finger joints. That was the hard part. Dad had to help me cut the cardboard because I kept making them crooked. Marcus smiled. She's been working on it every night after homework. Our living room looks like a craft store exploded. Can you help me make it move? Maya asked Sarah. Like your arm, with the electric signals. That's pretty advanced engineering, sweetheart. Maybe we start with simple motors first. Okay, but eventually the electric signal's right. Eventually. Tom brought water and menus, greeting Sarah like an old friend. Good to see you again. The usual for everyone. Marcus looked at Sarah. We tend to order the same thing every week. Creatures of habit. But you should get whatever you want. What's the usual? Ribeye for me, chicken tenders for Maya. Keisha always got the salmon. There was a brief silence after he said his wife's name. Maya's expression flickered something between sadness and practiced acceptance. Sarah made a decision. I'll have the salmon. Marcus's eyes met hers, and something passed between them. Gratitude, maybe. Recognition. After Tom left, Maya pulled out a sheet of paper covered in crayon drawings. I made a list of questions about your arm. Dad said I should write them down instead of just asking all at once because that's overwhelming. Very considerate. Sarah took the paper. The questions were written in careful child handwriting, some words spelled phonetically. Let's see. How do you sleep with it? I don't. I take it off at night. Doesn't your arm feel lonely? Sarah blinked. My prosthetic arm. No, your real arm. The one that's gone. Doesn't it feel lonely without the rest of you? Marcus started to intervene, but Sarah held up her hand. That's actually a really good question. Sometimes yes. I get something called phantom limb sensation. My brain still thinks my arm is there. Sometimes it itches or hurts, even though there's nothing to itch or hurt. That's sad. It's weird mostly. But I talk to it sometimes. Tell it I'm okay, that we're managing fine without it. Maya considered this seriously. I talk to my mom's picture. Dad says that's normal. It is normal. Sometimes the people or things we've lost still need to hear from us. Marcus's jaw tightened, but he didn't speak. Maya moved to her next question. Why did you get fat? Was it because of the accident? Maya. Marcus's voice was sharp. We talked about this. It's okay. Sarah took a breath. It wasn't okay, but she forced herself to continue. After I lost my arm, I couldn't exercise the way I used to. I was in pain a lot. I ate my feelings instead of dealing with them. Over time, I gained weight. Do you want to lose it? Sometimes. Other times, I think my body has been through enough without me punishing it for surviving. Maya nodded like this made perfect sense. Dad says bodies are just vehicles for our souls. It doesn't matter what they look like as long as they work. Your dad is very smart. I know. Maya returned to her list. Okay, last question. Do you have a boyfriend? Sarah nearly choked on her water. No. Why not? You're pretty and nice, and you have a cool robot arm. Maya, that's enough questions, Marcus started. Those things don't always matter to adults, Sarah said. Sometimes people focus on what's different instead of what's good. That's stupid. Maya. But it is. Dad. Sarah is really nice and she helps people and she's smart about robot arms. Anyone would be lucky to date her. Marcus looked mortified. Sarah felt heat creeping up her neck. Thank you, sweetheart. That's very kind. I'm not being kind. I'm being honest. Maya turned to her father. Don't you think Sarah's great? Marcus's eyes locked on Sarah's. Yes, I do. The air between them shifted. Tom arrived with their food, breaking the tension. They ate and talked about safer topics. Marcus's current project designing a community center. Sarah's patient who'd just learned to write with his prosthetic hand. Maya's upcoming school play. But Sarah kept catching Marcus watching her when he thought she wasn't looking, and she kept watching him back. After dinner, while Maya used the bathroom, Marcus leaned forward. I'm sorry about the boyfriend question. She's been asking everyone lately if they're dating. I think she's trying to process the idea of me potentially dating again. Are you potentially dating? The question came out before Sarah could stop it. Marcus was quiet for a long moment. I don't know. Some days I think I'm ready. Other days I can't imagine being with anyone who isn't Keisha. He paused. What about you? After Derek, are you done with dating? My brother deleted all my apps, so I guess I'm done with online dating at least. That's not the same as being done with dating. No, I suppose it's not. They looked at each other, and Sarah felt something dangerous stirring in her chest. Hope. Possibility. Things she'd sworn off after Derek. Maya returned, ending the conversation. But as Marcus walked Sarah to her car that night, he said something that kept her awake for hours. Keisha used to say that the right person finds you when you stop looking. I never believed her. Thought it was romantic nonsense. He paused by Sarah's car. But lately I'm wondering if she was right. Marcus. I'm not saying anything, just thinking out loud. He smiled. See you next Tuesday. Yeah, next Tuesday. Sarah drove home with her heart racing. The texts increased after that. Good morning messages. Photos of Maya's progress on her robot arm. Marcus sending articles about new prosthetic technology asking Sarah's professional opinion. Sarah sharing funny stories from work. Nothing explicitly romantic. But something was building. Monica called it 2 weeks later. You're falling for him. I'm not. Sarah, you smile every time your phone buzzes. You take extra time getting ready on Tuesdays. You've mentioned him in every conversation we've had for the past month. You're falling for him, and you're terrified. Sarah sat on her couch, her prosthetic arm in her lap, the socket needing adjustment she'd been avoiding. What if I am? What difference does it make? He's still in love with his dead wife. I'm still damaged goods. Nothing's changed. Everything's changed. You're not hiding anymore. You're showing up. You're letting someone see you. Monica's voice softened. That's huge, Sarah. That's growth. It feels like setting myself up for heartbreak. It feels like living. There's a difference. That Tuesday, Sarah arrived at Morton's to find only Marcus at the booth. Where's Maya? Sleepover at her friend Zara's house. Marcus looked nervous. I should have texted you, if you want to reschedule. No, it's fine. Sarah slid into the booth, her heart hammering. Dinner alone with Marcus felt different. Waited. They ordered their usual. The conversation started normally: work, weather, Chicago traffic. But halfway through the meal, Marcus set down his fork. Can I tell you something? Of course. Maya asked me last night if I thought you could be her new mom. Sarah's breath caught. What did you tell her? I told her that's not how it works, that you can't just replace someone, that her mom will always be her mom. Marcus met Sarah's eyes. But then she asked if I liked you, and I didn't know how to answer. Why not? Because I do like you. More than I should for someone I've known 6 weeks. More than I'm ready for. His voice dropped. I look forward to Tuesdays in a way I haven't looked forward to anything since Keisha died. I check my phone constantly, hoping you've texted. I find myself telling you things I haven't told anyone, and it scares the hell out of me. Sarah couldn't breathe. Marcus. I'm not asking for anything. I know you're dealing with your own stuff. I know Derek did a number on you. I know the last thing you probably want is a widower with a kid and more baggage than O'Hare Airport. He ran his hand over his face. I just needed to be honest. Because lying to you feels worse than risking rejection. Sarah stared at this man who'd defended her, befriended her, seen her at her worst, and still chose to show up every Tuesday. This man who'd just laid himself bare in the middle of a steakhouse. I'm terrified, she whispered. Of what? Of believing this is real. Of letting myself hope. Of waking up one day and finding out you've realized I'm exactly what Derek said, damaged goods who catfished you into friendship. Marcus reached across the table, taking her hand. Not her prosthetic hand, her real hand. His grip was warm, solid, anchoring. Listen to me very carefully. You are not damaged goods. You are not a catfish. You are not any of the cruel things that man said. His voice was fierce. You're brave and kind and resilient. You help people rebuild their lives. You make Maya laugh. You make me want to be better than the broken widower I've been for 18 months. I'm scared I'll disappoint you. I'm scared I'll disappoint you. That I'll have a bad day and withdraw. That you'll get tired of competing with a ghost. That Maya will get attached and you'll leave. Marcus squeezed her hand. We're both scared. So what? So what do? We try. We take it slow. We're honest about the hard stuff. He paused. Or we don't. If this is too much, if you're not ready, I understand. The friendship doesn't have to change. Sarah looked at their joined hands. At this man who'd stood up for her when he didn't have to. Who'd invited her into his Tuesday tradition. Who'd let her see his grief and his daughter and his slowly healing heart. She thought about Derek calling her damaged. She thought about 3 years of hiding and apologizing and making herself smaller. She thought about Monica saying sometimes living means risking heartbreak. I want to try, Sarah heard herself say. I'm terrified, and I'll probably mess it up, and I don't know how to date a widower with a daughter. But I want to try. Marcus's face transformed. Relief and joy, and something else, hope, maybe. The same hope Sarah was trying desperately to believe in. Yeah. He raised her hand to his lips and kissed her knuckles gently. Can I take you on an actual date, not Tuesday dinner? Something just for us. What about Maya? My sister can watch her. She's been telling me for months I need to start living again. Okay. Yes, an actual date. They finished dinner in a haze of nervous excitement, both of them fumbling through logistics and laughing at how awkward they were being. Marcus paid, despite Sarah's protests, then walked her to her car. Saturday, he asked. I know a great Italian place. No ghosts, no history, just us. Saturday works. He leaned in slowly, giving her time to pull away. Sarah didn't pull away. His lips brushed her forehead, gentle and chaste, and somehow more intimate than any kiss she'd had in years. Thank you for taking a chance on me, he whispered. Thank you for seeing me. Sarah drove home in a daze. She texted Monica immediately. We're going on a date, a real date. Monica's response came in all caps. I knew it, details tomorrow, don't overthink this. But Sarah was already overthinking. She stood in front of her bathroom mirror that night, her prosthetic arm removed, her residual limb exposed, all her scars visible, all her imperfections on display. Marcus had held her hand, her real hand, and called her brave. Derek had called her damaged goods. Two men. Two completely different verdicts. Sarah took a breath and made a choice. She chose to believe Marcus. The days between Tuesday and Saturday crawled by. Sarah changed her outfit 4 times, panicked about restaurant choices, called Monica twice for pep talks. "What if he realizes I'm not worth the trouble?" Sarah asked Friday night. "Then he's an idiot, and we key his car. But he won't realize that because it's not true." Monica's voice was firm. "Sarah, this man has seen you at your worst. He's watched you throw your prosthetic arm and scream in public. He's heard about Derek. He knows your baggage, and he still asked you out. Stop catastrophizing." "I don't know how to do this." "Nobody does. Dating is just 2 people being awkward together and hoping it works out. You've got this." Saturday arrived. Sarah wore a deep blue dress that hit just above her knees, her prosthetic arm visible beneath 3/4 sleeves. She'd learned over 3 years that hiding it only delayed the inevitable reveal. Better to be upfront. Marcus picked her up at 7, wearing dark slacks and a burgundy button-down that made his brown skin glow. He held flowers, simple daisies, not roses. "You look beautiful," he said. "You don't have to. I'm not being polite. You look beautiful. That color is perfect on you." Sarah felt heat creeping up her neck. "Thank you. You look pretty great yourself." They drove to the Italian restaurant in Marcus's truck, the conversation flowing easily despite Sarah's nerves. He told her about Maya's excitement over the date. "She picked out my shirt. Said burgundy was a romance color. I have no idea where she learned that. 8-year-olds are terrifying. She made me promise to be a gentleman. Specifically said no kissing on the first date unless you initiated it." Sarah laughed. "She's very thorough. She takes after her mom. Keisha was the same way, always had opinions on everything." There was a brief pause. The ghost in the truck with them. "Is this weird?" Marcus asked quietly. "Me talking about her on our first date?" "No, she's part of your life, part of Maya. I'd never ask you to hide that." Marcus reached over and squeezed her hand. "Thank you." The restaurant was small and intimate, candles on every table, soft Italian music playing. They were seated in a corner booth, the lighting low enough to feel romantic without being dark. Marcus ordered wine. Sarah got the same. They shared an appetizer, their hands occasionally brushing when they both reached for bread. "Can I ask you something?" Sarah said after the waiter left with their entree order. "Anything. What made you stand up for me that night?" "Really?" Marcus was quiet for a moment, his fingers tracing patterns on the tablecloth. "Honestly, I was already angry before you threw your prosthetic. I'd been watching that guy belittle you for 20 minutes, watching you get smaller and quieter. It reminded me of how some of Keisha's doctors treated her when she was sick, like she was a problem to solve instead of a person to help." "But you didn't know me." "Didn't matter. I've got a daughter who's going to grow up and date someday. I need her to know that's not how men treat women. That verbal abuse isn't romance. That she deserves better." He met Sarah's eyes. "And maybe part of me was tired of being silent. I'd spent 18 months just surviving. Maybe standing up for you was also standing up for myself." "What do you mean?" "I mean, grief had made me passive. I stopped caring about anything except getting Maya through each day. But watching that guy destroy you, watching you fight back, it woke something up in me. Reminded me that I'm still here, still capable of giving a damn." Marcus smiled slightly. "So thank you, actually, for having a public meltdown that made me remember how to be human." Sarah felt tears burning. "You're welcome." They both laughed, the tension breaking. Dinner arrived and they ate and talked about everything and nothing. Marcus shared stories about Maya's latest obsessions. Sarah told him about her favorite patient, a veteran named Johnson, who'd started painting with his prosthetic hand. They debated Chicago pizza versus New York pizza, agreed that winter in Chicago was brutal. Discovered they'd both lived in the same neighborhood 10 years ago and never met. "We might have passed each other 100 times, Marcus said. "Wrong timing, maybe. Or right timing. Now. He reached across the table, his hand palm up. Sarah put her hand in his, her prosthetic hand this time. He examined it carefully, his fingers tracing the silicone skin. Does it bother you when people stare? Sometimes. Depends on the stare. Kids stare with curiosity. That's fine. Adults stare with pity or disgust. That's harder. How do I stare? Sarah considered. Like you're actually seeing me. Not my arm. Me. That's because I am. Marcus turned her prosthetic hand over, studying the mechanical joints. This is part of you, but it's not all of you. Just like my grief is part of me, but not all of me. Do you think we're both just broken people trying to feel whole? I think we're both healing people learning to live again. There's a difference. They skipped dessert, both too full and too nervous. Marcus paid despite Sarah's attempts to split the check, then drove her home through quiet Chicago streets. Outside her apartment building, he walked her to the door. I had a really good time, Sarah said. Me too. Marcus hesitated. Can I see you again? Not Tuesday. Another real date. I'd like that. Good. He leaned in slowly, his hand cupping her face. Maya said no kissing unless you initiated, so I'm going to need you to make the first move here. Sarah smiled, rose on her toes, and kissed him. It was gentle and uncertain and perfect. His lips were soft, his hand warm against her cheek. When they pulled apart, both were smiling. Maya's going to want details, Marcus said. Tell her it was very gentlemanly. She'll be disappointed. She was hoping for romance novel drama. Sarah kissed him again, longer this time. Better? Much better. She floated up to her apartment, texted Monica a string of heart emojis, then collapsed on her couch with a smile she couldn't suppress. Her phone buzzed. Marcus. Made it home. Maya's still awake, demanding to know if you're officially my girlfriend now. What should I tell her? Sarah stared at the message, her heart racing. She typed, tell her we're taking it slow, but yes, officially. 3 dots appeared immediately then. She just screamed so loud the neighbors probably called the cops. Worth it, though. Sarah laughed, setting her phone aside. For the first time in 3 years, she let herself believe that maybe, just maybe, she deserved this. Deserved kindness. Deserved romance. Deserved a man who saw her scars and called her beautiful anyway. Derek had been wrong. She wasn't damaged goods. She was just Sarah. And apparently, that was enough. The first real test came 3 weeks into officially dating. Sarah showed up for Tuesday dinner to find Maya crying in the bathroom and Marcus pacing outside the door like a caged animal. What happened? Sarah asked. Marcus looked exhausted. School project. She worked on it for 2 weeks and her teacher said it wasn't good enough. She has to start over and it's due Friday. Can I talk to her? She won't come out. She's been in there for 20 minutes. Sarah knocked gently on the bathroom door. Maya, it's Sarah. Can I come in? Silence. I brought my prosthetic arm. The one that doesn't work anymore. Thought maybe you'd want to see the inside mechanics. The lock clicked. The door opened a crack. Maya's face was blotchy and wet. You have one that doesn't work. I have 3, actually. Come on, let's go look at them. Maya followed Sarah back to the booth where Marcus stood watching with an expression somewhere between relief and confusion. Where are the broken arms? Maya asked. In my car. But first, tell me what happened with your project. Maya's face crumpled. I made a poster about the solar system. I worked really hard. I put all the planets in order, and I drew them myself, and I wrote facts about each one. But Mrs. Henderson said it wasn't creative enough, that everyone does posters. She said I need to do something original. What does she want? A diorama or a model or something 3-dimensional. But I don't know how to make that, and it's due Friday, and I'm going to fail. Fresh tears spilled over. Sarah glanced at Marcus, who looked helpless. Then she pulled out her phone and searched for images of solar system models. Okay, we're not going to fail. We're going to build the coolest solar system model Mrs. Henderson has ever seen, and we're going to do it in 4 days. We, Marcus said. We. You're a structural engineer. I build prosthetics. Maya's creative. Between the three of us, we can handle some planets. Maya wiped her eyes. Really? You'll help me? Absolutely. But first dinner. Can't build on an empty stomach. They ate quickly. Maya's spirits lifting as Sarah sketched out a design on a napkin. Styrofoam balls for planets, wire for orbits, a motor system to make them rotate. Marcus added structural suggestions. Maya contributed artistic ideas. By the time they left the restaurant, they had a complete plan. My place or yours? Sarah asked Marcus in the parking lot. Mine has more space, and all my tools. Okay, I'll follow you. Marcus's house was a modest 2-story in Lincoln Park, the kind of place that looked lived in and loved. Photos of Keisha covered the walls. Keisha, pregnant Keisha, holding baby Maya Keisha, and Marcus on their wedding day. Sarah felt the ghost's presence immediately. Maya grabbed Sarah's hand and pulled her toward the dining room. This is where we work on projects. Dad cleared it out after Mom died because her hospital stuff was here, and it made him sad. Marcus appeared in the doorway, his expression tight. Maya. It's okay, Sarah said quietly. She's just being honest. They spread supplies across the table, styrofoam balls Marcus had in his workshop, paint from Maya's art supplies, wire hangers Sarah had stopped to buy. For the next 3 hours, they worked together painting planets, bending wire orbits, designing a support structure. Maya chattered constantly, her earlier tears forgotten. Marcus worked quietly, occasionally catching Sarah's eye and smiling. Sarah found herself relaxing into the domestic rhythm, her prosthetic hand managing tasks, while her real hand did the detail work. Around 10 p.m., Maya started yawning. Bedtime, baby, Marcus said. But we're not done. We'll finish tomorrow. Sarah's coming back, right? Sarah nodded. Absolutely. After Marcus took Maya upstairs, Sarah cleaned up the dining room, putting paint supplies in order, organizing the half-finished planets. She was examining their work when Marcus came back down. She went down without a fight. Usually bedtime is a negotiation. He moved to stand beside Sarah. Thank you for stepping in tonight. I didn't know what to do. Keisha was always better with the emotional stuff. You were doing fine. Sometimes kids just need a different voice. Maybe. Marcus was quiet for a moment. This is her room, you know. The dining room. It was Keisha's home office. She'd work here after Maya went to bed, charting patient notes, researching treatments. I boxed everything up 6 months ago because I couldn't walk past it anymore. Sarah looked around, noticing the walls were bare, except for a few of Maya's drawings. Do you regret it? Boxing it up, no. Keeping the house sometimes. Marcus sat down at the table, his shoulders slumping. Everything here reminds me of her. The kitchen where she'd dance while cooking. The living room where we'd watch terrible reality TV. Our bedroom where I still sleep on my side because crossing to her side feels like trespassing. Sarah sat beside him, not touching, just present. Have you thought about moving? Every day. But this is the only home Maya's known. Her mom is in every room, every corner. If we leave, I'm afraid Maya will forget her. She won't forget. You won't let her. How do you know? Because you still talk about Keisha. You say her name. You let Maya ask questions. You're keeping her alive in the ways that matter. Sarah reached over and took his hand. A house is just a building. Memories live in people. Marcus looked at their joined hands. Is this weird for you? Being here surrounded by evidence of my life with someone else? Honestly, a little, but not in the way you think. Sarah chose her words carefully. It's weird because I'm realizing how much you loved her, how much you still love her. And I'm wondering if there's room for me in a heart that's already so full. Marcus turned to face her fully. Sarah, I'm not asking you to stop loving her. I wouldn't want that. But I need to know if you're dating me because you're ready to move forward, or because you're lonely, and I'm convenient." The question hung between them, heavy and necessary. Marcus was quiet for a long time, his thumb tracing circles on Sarah's palm. When he finally spoke, his voice was raw. "After Keisha died, people kept telling me I'd love again someday. That my heart would heal. I wanted to punch every single one of them. Because my heart wasn't broken, it was shattered. Ground into dust. I couldn't imagine feeling anything except grief." He paused, his eyes distant. "Then I met you. And at first, yes, it was just kindness. Standing up for someone who needed backup. But then you showed up on Tuesday, and you made Maya laugh, and you didn't flinch away from my grief. You let me talk about Keisha without getting jealous or uncomfortable. You treated her memory with respect." Marcus squeezed Sarah's hand. "You asked if I'm ready to move forward, or just lonely. The answer is both. I am lonely. I miss having a partner. But I'm not dating you because you're convenient. I'm dating you because when I'm with you, I remember what it feels like to be alive instead of just surviving. You make me want to be better, do better, feel again. But you still love her." "I always will. She's Maya's mother. She's part of my history." Marcus met Sarah's eyes. "But that doesn't mean I can't love someone else too. Hearts don't have a maximum capacity. They expand to fit what we need them to hold." Sarah felt tears burning. "I'm scared I'll always be second place." "You're not second place. You're a different place entirely. Keisha was my first love. You're my second chance. Those aren't competing. They're sequential." "What if I mess this up? What if we both mess it up? What if we try anyway?" Marcus pulled Sarah closer, his forehead resting against hers. "I can't promise this will be easy. I can't promise I won't have bad days where I withdraw. I can't promise Maya won't struggle with seeing me with someone who isn't her mom. But I can promise I'll be honest. I'll communicate. I'll try. I can promise the same things. And I can promise I'll never ask you to forget Keisha." "Thank you." They sat there for a long moment, foreheads touching, breathing together. Then Marcus pulled back slightly. "Will you stay tonight?" "Not like that, just stay. It's late, you've been drinking wine. I have a guest room. Stay." Sarah knew she should say no, knew this was moving fast, but she nodded anyway. "Okay, I'll stay." Marcus showed her to the guest room, brought her a toothbrush and one of his t-shirts to sleep in. The room was simple and impersonal, clearly rarely used. Sarah changed and climbed into bed, her prosthetic arm resting on the nightstand. She could hear Marcus moving around in the master bedroom down the hall. Water running, drawers opening, the sounds of someone preparing for sleep alone. She was almost asleep when she heard the knock. "Come in." Marcus opened the door backlit by the hallway light. "Can't sleep. Keep thinking about what you said. About being second place." "Marcus, let me finish." He moved into the room, sitting on the edge of the bed. "You need to understand something. Yes, I loved Keisha. She was my world. But she's gone. And I spent 18 months trying to live in the past because the present was too painful. You pulled me into the present, Sarah. You made me see that I still have a life worth living. I didn't do anything special. You showed up. You kept showing up even when I was a mess. Even when Maya asked inappropriate questions. Even when Derek's words were probably still echoing in your head." Marcus reached out his hand, cupping Sarah's face. "You're not second place. You're the person helping me build a new life. That's not less than it's different." Sarah leaned into his touch. "I want to believe that." "Then believe it. I'm here, aren't I? In your room at midnight telling you that you matter. That's not obligation or loneliness. That's choice." He leaned down and kissed her slow and deep and full of promise. When he pulled back, both of them were breathing hard. "I should let you sleep," Marcus said. You should. He didn't move. Sarah smiled. Or you could stay. Just sleep. Just be here. Marcus hesitated for only a moment before climbing into bed beside her, pulling her against his chest. Sarah felt his heartbeat against her back, his arm around her waist, his breath in her hair. "This okay?" he whispered. "This is perfect." They fell asleep like that two damaged people finding comfort in each other's scars. Sarah woke to sunlight and the smell of pancakes. For a moment she was disoriented. This wasn't her room, wasn't her bed. Then memory flooded back and she smiled. She found her prosthetic, attached it properly, and made her way downstairs in Marcus's oversized t-shirt. Maya was at the kitchen table eating pancakes shaped like stars. Her eyes went wide when she saw Sarah. "You stayed over. Does this mean you're Dad's girlfriend for real now?" "Maya?" Marcus turned from the stove, spatula in hand, looking adorably domestic. "I thought I was already his girlfriend for real," Sarah said, sliding into a chair. "Yeah, but now you stayed over. That's serious." Maya took a huge bite of pancake. "Are you going to move in? Because my friend Zara's dad has a girlfriend, and she moved in, and now Zara has to share a bathroom, and she hates it. I have my own apartment. I'm not moving in." "Yet," Maya said sagely. Marcus brought over a plate of pancakes for Sarah. "Ignore her. She's been watching too many sitcoms." They ate breakfast together, then spent the day finishing Maya's solar system project. By evening, they had a working model with rotating planets, hand-painted details, and a motorized sun. Maya was ecstatic. "This is the best project ever. Mrs. Henderson is going to love it." "She better," Marcus muttered. "We put in 15 hours of work." Sarah helped clean up while Marcus got Maya ready for bed. When he came back down, he pulled Sarah into his arms. "Thank you for all of this. I like helping. I like being part of this." "Good, because Maya's already planning her next project and she's insisting you have to help." Sarah laughed. "What is it?" "A working volcano. I'm terrified." They kissed in the kitchen, surrounded by paint supplies and planetary debris, and it felt like the most natural thing in the world. Sarah didn't leave until nearly midnight. As she drove home, her phone buzzed with a text from Marcus. "Maya asked if you could come to the project presentation Friday. She wants you to see her present it." Sarah smiled and typed back, "I'll be there." Friday came. Sarah left work early and drove to Maya's school, her stomach fluttering with nerves. This felt significant, meeting Maya's teachers, being introduced as Dad's girlfriend, existing in Marcus's world outside their Tuesday bubble. She found Marcus in the hallway outside Maya's classroom, looking as nervous as she felt. "You came." "Of course I came." Sarah straightened his collar. "How's she doing?" "Confident. Almost too confident. She keeps telling everyone her project is going to win." "It should. We built an excellent solar system." They walked into the classroom together, Marcus's hand on the small of Sarah's back. Other parents stared. Sarah felt the familiar burn of being observed, judged. Then Maya spotted them and ran over, grabbing both their hands. "You're both here? Come see where my project is." She dragged them to her display, chattering about the other projects and who she thought would win. Marcus and Sarah exchanged amused glances over her head. When it was Maya's turn to present, she stood in front of the class with complete confidence. "I built a motorized solar system. My dad helped with the structure because he's an engineer. Sarah helped with the motor because she builds robot arms for veterans. And I did all the painting because I'm the artist." The class erupted in applause when she turned on the motor and the planets began rotating. Mrs. Henderson looked impressed. After presentations, Mrs. Henderson pulled Marcus aside. "Your daughter's project was exceptional, and it's lovely that she has such a strong support system. You and your wife must be very proud." Sarah saw Marcus freeze, saw him struggle for words. "Sarah's not my wife," he said finally. We're..." I'm his girlfriend, Sarah said, stepping forward. Maya's mom passed away 18 months ago. Mrs. Henderson's face flooded with embarrassment. Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry, I didn't know. It's fine, Marcus said tightly. But Sarah could see it wasn't fine. They left shortly after Maya clutching a blue ribbon for first place. In the parking lot, Marcus was quiet. You okay? Sarah asked. Yeah, just caught me off guard. People assuming you're Keisha. Does it bother you? Marcus was quiet for a long moment. No, but it made me realize how serious this is getting. People see us together and assume we're a family. Are we ready for that? Sarah looked at Maya, who was showing her blue ribbon to another kid across the parking lot. Then at Marcus, still processing the teacher's assumption. I don't know, Sarah said honestly, but I want to find out. Marcus pulled her close, kissing her forehead. Me too. Maya ran back over, interrupting the moment. Can we get ice cream to celebrate? Please, Sarah can come too. Marcus looked at Sarah. What do you think, ice cream? Sarah smiled. Ice cream sounds perfect. They went to Maya's favorite place, a small shop near their house. Maya ordered a triple scoop and proceeded to tell everyone in the shop about her blue ribbon. Other customers congratulated her. The teenager behind the counter gave her extra sprinkles. Sarah watched Marcus with his daughter and felt something settle in her chest. This could be her life, this chaos and sweetness and imperfect family, if she was brave enough to reach for it. Her phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. She opened it and felt her blood run cold. A screenshot of her old dating profile. And a message. Saw you at the school. Still catfishing men with those camera angles? Some of us remember what you really look like. You should be ashamed. The number was blocked. No way to respond. No way to know who sent it. Sarah's hands started shaking. Sarah, you okay? Marcus was watching her concerned. Yeah, fine. Just work stuff. She deleted the message and put her phone away. But Derek's ghost had found her even here in this perfect moment, and she had no idea how to make it stop. The messages kept coming. Sarah would be at work helping a veteran learn to grip a coffee cup with their new prosthetic, and her phone would buzz. A photo of her from the restaurant that night with Derek zoomed in on her prosthetic arm. Caption: Remember when you pretended to be normal? She'd be grocery shopping and another would arrive. A screenshot from some forum where someone, probably Derek, had posted about crazy women who catfish on dating apps. Her profile photo circled in red. She'd be lying in bed trying to sleep and her phone would light up. Does your boyfriend know you're damaged goods? Should someone tell him? Sarah stopped sleeping, stopped eating properly, started checking her phone obsessively, dreading the next message, but unable to look away. Monica noticed first. You look like hell. What's going on? They were in the hospital break room. Sarah staring at her untouched sandwich. She pulled out her phone and showed Monica the messages. All 47 of them over the past 2 weeks. Monica's face went from concern to rage in seconds. Are you fucking kidding me? Who's sending these? I don't know. The numbers are all different. Probably burner phones or apps. It's Derek. It has to be. Maybe. Or someone who saw his posts about me. Does it matter? Yes, it matters. This is harassment. Monica grabbed Sarah's phone, scrolling through the messages. Have you told Marcus? No. Why not? Because he'll want to fix it. He'll want to confront whoever's doing this. And Sarah's voice cracked. I just want it to stop. I want to feel normal for 5 minutes without Derek's voice in my head telling me I'm worthless. You're not worthless. You're being terrorized by a pathetic man-child who can't handle rejection. Monica handed back the phone. You need to report this. To the police, to your phone company, to someone. And say what? That mean texts are hurting my feelings. That you're being stalked and harassed. Sarah, this isn't normal. This is targeted abuse. Sarah knew Monica was right, but reporting it meant admitting how much power Derek still had over her, meant facing the reality that she'd never be free of that night at Morton's. That evening, Sarah skipped Tuesday dinner. She texted Marcus a lie about working late, then sat in her apartment with her phone off her prosthetic arm, removed her curtains drawn. The walls felt like they were closing in. Her phone still off sat on the coffee table like a bomb waiting to explode. Around 8 p.m. someone knocked on her door. Sarah ignored it. The knocking continued. Then, Marcus's voice. "Sarah, I know you're in there. Your car's in the lot. Go away." "Not happening. Open the door or I'm calling your brother." Sarah dragged herself off the couch and opened the door. Marcus stood there holding takeout bags and looking worried. "You missed Tuesday dinner." "I told you I was working." "You're a terrible liar, and Monica called me." Marcus pushed past her into the apartment. "She said you've been getting harassing messages and you're spiraling. Why didn't you tell me?" "Because it's not your problem." "Like hell it's not." Marcus set down the food and turned to face her. "Show me the messages." "Marcus, show me." Sarah retrieved her phone and unlocked it. The notifications flooded in 12 new messages in the 2 hours it had been off. She handed it to Marcus wordlessly. She watched his face as he scrolled, watched his jaw tighten and his eyes go cold. When he finally looked up, he was vibrating with controlled rage. "How long has this been happening?" 2 weeks, since Maya's school presentation." 2 weeks and you didn't tell me?" What was I supposed to say? "Hey, remember that guy who called me damaged goods? He's still tormenting me, and there's nothing anyone can do about it." Marcus set the phone down very carefully. "There's plenty we can do about it, starting with filing a police report." "The police won't care about mean texts." "These aren't mean texts. This is sustained harassment, stalking, threats." Marcus picked up the phone again, reading aloud. "Your boyfriend will figure out what you are eventually." That's not just mean, that's threatening. This person is trying to destroy your relationship. "They're succeeding." Sarah's voice broke. "Every time my phone buzzes, I panic. Every time we're in public, I'm looking over my shoulder wondering if Derek's watching. Every time you look at me, I wonder if you're seeing me or seeing the freak from the restaurant." Marcus closed the distance between them, his hands on her shoulders. "Look at me. Sarah, look at me." She forced herself to meet his eyes. "I see you. Just you. Not Derek's version, not these messages' version. You." His voice was fierce. "And whoever's sending these, whether it's Derek or some other coward, they don't get to win. We don't let them win." "How do we stop them?" "We start by documenting everything. Screenshots, dates, times. Then we file a police report. Then we talk to a lawyer about a restraining order." Marcus pulled Sarah into his arms. "You're not fighting this alone. I'm here. Monica's here. Your brother's here. We're going to fix this." Sarah wanted to believe him, but Derek's words kept echoing. Damaged goods. Catfish. Not good enough. They spent the next hour documenting every message, every blocked number, every threat. Marcus made notes with the precision of someone who dealt with bureaucracy before. When they finished, he ordered Sarah to eat the food he'd brought. "I'm not hungry." "Don't care. Eat." She picked at the lo mein while Marcus called his sister to check on Maya. Hearing him talk to his daughter, normal domestic loving, made Sarah's chest ache. "I don't want Maya involved in this," Sarah said when he hung up. "She won't be. We're keeping her completely separate." "But if Derek escalates, then I'll handle Derek, personally, with extreme prejudice." Marcus's voice had gone flat and dangerous. "That man terrorized you once in public. He's terrorizing you now from hiding. He doesn't get to come near you or Maya or any part of our lives." "Our lives." Sarah repeated the words. "We have lives. Together." "Yes. And I'll be damned if some Instagram asshole with an inferiority complex destroys them." They filed the police report the next morning. The officer was sympathetic but realistic. Harassment through electronic means is tough to prosecute unless there's a direct threat. I'm going to hurt you, that kind of thing. What you've got here is mostly psychological warfare. So there's nothing you can do, Sarah asked. I can file the report, create a paper trail. If it escalates, you'll have documentation. But right now? The officer shook his head. Block the numbers. Don't engage. Consider changing your phone number. Marcus's hand tightened on Sarah's. What about a restraining order? Against who you don't know for certain who's sending these. Could be this Derek guy. Could be someone else entirely. Judge won't issue a restraining order without proof. They left the police station feeling defeated. Sarah slumped in Marcus's truck staring at her phone. I should just change my number. Will that help, or will he just find the new one? I don't know. I don't know anything anymore. Sarah felt tears building. Why is he doing this? He got what he wanted. He humiliated me. Why won't he let it go? Because men like Derek don't actually want women. They want power, control. You took that away when you stood up to him. Now he's trying to take it back. Marcus was right. But knowing why didn't make it stop. The messages continued. Different numbers, same intent. Slowly chipping away at Sarah's sense of safety. She started withdrawing. Canceled plans with Monica. Made excuses to skip Tuesday dinner twice. Stopped responding to Marcus's texts as quickly. Marcus noticed immediately. He showed up at her apartment unannounced on a Wednesday night, Maya in tow. We're staging an intervention, he announced, walking in with pizza and board games. Marcus, I can't. Yes, you can. Maya picked out games. We're having a game night. No arguments. Maya was already setting up Monopoly on Sarah's coffee table. Dad says you're sad because of a mean person. I'm sad about mean people too sometimes. But pizza helps. Sarah looked at this 8-year-old trying to comfort her and felt something break open in her chest. Pizza does help, she managed. They played Monopoly until Maya fell asleep on Sarah's couch, clutching the purple elephant she carried everywhere. Marcus covered her with a throw blanket and returned to where Sarah sat at the kitchen counter. Talk to me, really talk to me. I'm fine. You're not fine. You're disappearing. Marcus's voice was gentle but firm. I recognized the signs. After Keisha died, I did the same thing. Pulled away from everyone. Convinced myself I was protecting them from my grief. But I was really just hiding. I'm not hiding. You canceled Tuesday dinner twice. You barely answer my texts. When's the last time you went to work without forcing yourself? Marcus moved closer. Sarah, you're letting Derek win. He's already won. Every time I look at my phone, every time I'm in public, I'm waiting for the next attack. He's in my head, and I can't get him out. So we get help, real help, a therapist, someone who specializes in trauma. I already did therapy after the accident. This is different trauma. You need someone who understands harassment, stalking, PTSD. Marcus took her hands. Baby, I can't watch you disappear. Maya can't watch you disappear. We need you here, present, fighting. Sarah looked at their joined hands, his warm and solid, hers trembling. What if I can't fight anymore? Then we fight for you until you can fight again. The therapist's name was Dr. Chen. She specialized in trauma harassment and PTSD. Her office was warm and comfortable, filled with plants and soft lighting. Tell me what brought you here, Dr. Chen said in their first session. Sarah told her everything. The accident, losing her arm, Brad leaving 3 years of failed dating, Derek the restaurant, the messages. By the end, she was crying so hard she could barely breathe. Dr. Chen handed her tissues and waited patiently. What you're experiencing is called prolonged trauma response. The initial trauma, losing your arm, created vulnerability. Derek's attack targeted that vulnerability. Now the ongoing harassment is preventing you from healing. So what do? We work on separating Derek's voice from your own. Right now, they're tangled together. When you look in the mirror, you hear his words. When you consider your worth, you use his measurements. We need to untangle that. Over the next 6 weeks, Sarah saw Dr. Chen twice a week. They worked on cognitive behavioral therapy, challenging the negative thoughts Derek had planted. They practiced mindfulness techniques for when panic struck. They role-played responses to harassment. Slowly, painfully slowly, Sarah started to feel more like herself. The messages continued, but she learned to delete them without reading. Changed her number and gave it only to people she trusted. Blocked social media profiles and made everything private. She started going back to Tuesday dinners regularly. Started sleeping better. Started believing Marcus when he said she was beautiful. But the real breakthrough came unexpectedly. Sarah was at the VA hospital working with a young veteran named Rodriguez. He'd lost his right arm in Afghanistan and was struggling to adapt to his prosthetic. "I feel like half a person," Rodriguez said, staring at his prosthetic hand with disgust. "Like I'm broken." Sarah sat down across from him. "Can I tell you a story?" She told him about Derek, about the restaurant, about being called damaged goods in front of 50 strangers, about a man standing up and saying she was worth 100 of Derek. "You know what I learned," Sarah said. "The person who calls you broken is usually the one who's actually broken. Derek couldn't handle a woman who'd survived trauma because it reminded him of his own weakness. The harassment isn't about me being less, it's about him being terrified of anyone being more." Rodriguez was quiet for a long moment. "Did the harassment stop?" "No. But I stopped letting it define me. I found people who saw my strength instead of my scars. I let myself be loved by someone who thinks my prosthetic is just part of who I am, not a flaw to overlook." "That guy who stood up for you." "Yeah. We're together now. He and his daughter. They're my family." Rodriguez looked at his prosthetic hand with new eyes. "Maybe I'm not broken. Maybe I'm just different now." "Exactly. Different isn't less." That conversation changed something in Sarah. She realized she'd been giving advice she wasn't taking, telling others they weren't broken while believing she was. That night at Tuesday dinner, she told Marcus about it. "I think I'm finally getting it. What you've been trying to tell me for months." "What's that?" "That Derek's opinion doesn't matter. That the harassment is about his inadequacy, not mine. That I get to decide my own worth." Marcus smiled. "Took you long enough." "Shut up." Sarah threw a piece of bread at him. Maya looked up from her coloring. "Are you guys going to get married?" Both adults froze. "Maya, that's not..." Marcus started. "Because if you are, I want to be the flower girl, and I want a purple dress, and I think the wedding should have chocolate cake." Sarah and Marcus looked at each other over Maya's head. Neither of them had discussed marriage. They'd been dating 4 months. It was too soon. But Sarah found herself saying, "If we get married, you can absolutely be the flower girl." "When not if," Maya corrected. "Dad looks at you the way he looked at Mom in the wedding photos. That's the 'I'm going to marry you' look." Marcus's ears turned red. "Maya, eat your chicken." "I'm just saying what everyone's thinking." After dinner, walking Sarah to her car, Marcus brought it up. "About what Maya said. It's fine. She's 8. 8-year-olds have no filter." "I know, but..." Marcus stopped, turning to face Sarah fully. "What if she's not wrong? Not about marriage right now, but about the trajectory. What if this is going somewhere serious?" Sarah's heart was pounding. "Is it going somewhere serious?" "I think it has been since that first Tuesday. I was just too scared to admit it." Marcus took her hands. "I love you, Sarah. I'm in love with you. It's different from how I loved Keisha, but it's real and it's big and it terrifies me." Sarah couldn't breathe. "You love me." "Of course I love you. You stepped into our mess of a life and made it better. You love my daughter. You're patient with my grief. You're strong and kind and beautiful, and you make me want to be better." Marcus pulled her closer. "I love you. And I needed you to know." "I love you too." The words came out in a rush. I've loved you since you stood up for me in that restaurant. Since you saw me at my worst and didn't flinch. Since you made room for me in your Tuesday tradition." They kissed in the parking lot, surrounded by other people leaving the restaurant, and Sarah felt something settle in her chest. Peace. Certainty. Home. Her phone buzzed. She tensed automatically, then made herself check it. Not a harassment message. A text from Monica. Heard through the hospital grapevine that Derek got fired from his gym. Apparently multiple women complained about his behavior. Karma's a bitch. Sarah showed Marcus the text. "Good," he said simply. "He deserves worse, but I'll take it." "Do you think the messages will stop now?" "I don't know, but I know we'll handle it either way." The messages did slow down after Derek got fired. From daily to weekly to occasional. Sarah learned to delete them without reading, learned to breathe through the panic, learned to trust that Marcus wasn't going anywhere. 3 months later, on a Tuesday that felt like any other Tuesday, Marcus proposed. Not in a fancy restaurant, not with a photographer hiding in the bushes. Just the three of them in their corner booth at Morton's finishing chocolate cake. Marcus got down on one knee right there in the restaurant. "Sarah Bennett, you walked into our lives on the worst night of yours and somehow made everything better. You love Maya like she's your own. You're patient with me when I'm stuck in grief. You're strong even when you don't feel strong. You're everything I didn't know I needed and everything Maya deserves in a mother." He pulled out a ring, simple gold band with a small diamond. "Will you marry us?" Maya was bouncing in her seat. "Say yes, say yes. I already picked out my purple dress." Sarah was crying and laughing simultaneously. "Yes, of course yes." The restaurant erupted in applause. Tom brought out champagne on the house. Other diners congratulated them. Maya insisted on trying on the ring, even though it didn't fit her finger. Later in the parking lot, Marcus held Sarah close. "Thank you for taking a chance on me. On us. Thank you for seeing me. For standing up. For staying. Always." Sarah's phone buzzed. She tensed, then made herself check it. A message from an unknown number. "You're still damaged goods. That ring doesn't change what you are." Sarah showed it to Marcus. He read it, then deleted it without comment. "He doesn't get to ruin this moment. He doesn't get any more of our time." Agreed. Sarah blocked the number and put her phone away. She was done letting Derek's ghost haunt her. Done giving him power. Done measuring herself by his cruelty. She was engaged to a man who loved her. She had a daughter who wanted her as a mother. She had a life worth living. That was enough. More than enough. 6 months later, they married in Tom's restaurant on a Tuesday. Maya wore purple and carried Sarah's bouquet. James walked Sarah down the aisle. Marcus cried during his vows. Sarah cried during hers. In his vows, Marcus said, "You taught me that hearts can expand to hold more than we think possible. That love isn't about replacing what we've lost, it's about having courage to build something new. Keisha will always be part of our family. But you are our future. Thank you for choosing us." In hers, Sarah said, "I spent 3 years believing I wasn't enough. That my scars made me unlovable. Then you stood up in a restaurant and showed me what real men do. They defend, they show up, they stay. You've never asked me to be anything other than myself. You've loved me at my worst and celebrated me at my best. I promise to do the same for you and Maya for the rest of our lives." There were no harassment messages that day. No ghosts. Just family and friends, and chocolate cake, and hope. A year later, Sarah ran into Derek at a coffee shop. He looked smaller than she remembered. Older, tired. His Instagram was gone. She'd checked once out of curiosity. His gym had closed. He was working retail at a sporting goods store. He saw her and his face went pale. Sarah could have walked past, could have ignored him, but she walked over. "Derek. Sarah. I look about what happened. I don't need your apology. I don't need anything from you." Sarah held up her left hand, showing her wedding ring. "I just need you to know that you were wrong. I'm not damaged goods. I'm not a catfish. I'm happily married to an incredible man with a daughter I love. I have a career helping veterans rebuild their lives. I have friends and family and a full, beautiful life. Derek looked like he wanted to disappear. I hope you get help, Sarah continued. I hope you figure out why you need to tear other people down. But that's your journey, not mine. I'm done giving you space in my head. She walked away without looking back. Marcus was waiting outside with Maya, both of them holding coffee. Was that him? Marcus asked. Yeah. You okay? Sarah took his hand, then Maya's, and smiled. I'm perfect. And for the first time in 4 years, she actually believed it. The woman who'd ripped off her prosthetic arm in a fever of rage and humiliation had found her way home. Not despite her scars, but because she'd finally learned those scars were proof of survival, not evidence of damage. And that made all the difference.